Gemara regarding a chatan, regarding a groom, and the people, the groomsmen that were there to help him rejoice, to create a great simcha for him throughout his wedding week. So we're on Chafei Amud Beis, on 25b, and Mr. Batesh said it's 25b. You know, we already got the 3. 25b3. Amar Rav Abba bar Abda Amar Rav. Rav Abda bar Abba says in the name of Rav, Chatan v'Hashashvinin. The Chatan and all his men, all the groomsmen that are there to help him rejoice, the Chol Bnei HaChuppah, and all members of the wedding party, whether they are his personal men, or it sounds like any people that are there, part of the Simcha, they're there to they celebrate during this festive week. They're there to celebrate with the newlyweds, whether they are direct friends of the groom or not. So they are patur min Sukkah. They are patur from Sukkah kol shiva. All 7 days, the Chatan and his friends and other people of the wedding entourage, they're all patur from Sukkah throughout the 7 days. That means to say, they would set up a place, a house for the Chatan and the Kala to reside, special place for them for 7 days. It was a special place, and therefore that's their home and not the Sukkah. That's going to be the place that they're going to have their festivities, the week of celebration, and therefore, because that's their place of festivities and celebration, the Sukkah is not their place of festivity and celebration. And the Gemara is going to ask, why can't we move the celebration into the Sukkah? Meaning, you're saying, yes, the normal thing is you set up a house, place for the groom and the bride to spend the week, a special place, and therefore they're exempt from the Sukkah. So the Gemara is going to question, why is it so? You know, I can understand if you get married at a different time of the year, people, you stay in you have your special place of that's set up for the groom and the bride. But now it happens to be the holiday of Sukkot. Let's say you got married between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. And let's say tonight was the holiday of Sukkot. Let's say you got married by noon today. But now it's the holiday of Sukkot. Maybe you got to spend time in the Sukkah. So he says they're patur from the Sukkah. Now, so the Gemara says my time. So the Gemara opens up. What's the reason why they should be exempt from the Sukkah? So he says mishum deboilim mechte, because he needs to rejoice together with his friends and the entourage, and in the Sukkah, they're not able to go ahead and have that type of simcha, that type of happiness. It's not a place that's for that type. Now the Gemara is going to question why not. So that's what the Gemara says. So the Gemara says, okay, you're telling me that the special simcha that needs to take place, and therefore they got to go to this place, which is the special house that's set up for the bride and the groom. So that's why they're exempt from going to the Sukkah. So the Gemara says, why can't we move the festivities? V'lechlu b'sukkah, v'lechedu b'sukkah. Let them eat in the Sukkah and let them have their festivities, their celebration in the Sukkah. So the Gemara says, Ein simcha ela b'chuppah. The simcha is only in the place of the chuppah. The simcha is only in the special area which was designated as of a chuppah. You don't have you have that special place that's designated for the enjoyment. That's where the simcha is. And you're not going to have the sukkah is not a place it's not a special place designated for the chatan and the kala. The sukkah is a sukkah that's made for any, people make a sukkah to eat for sukkah, for the holiday of Sukkot. But the simcha is in a place that's specially designated for a chatan, a special area which was designated and created and built for the chatan and the kala, for the bride and the groom. That's where you could really have celebration. That's where celebration. That's the place of celebration. It's like you're gonna make a wedding in somebody's house. You make a wedding in a wedding hall, right? A house is not a place of. It's a nice place, but it's not a festive type of place to make a wedding. Even if a person's going to be making a small wedding, they still like to make it in a certain place, in a certain hall, in a certain something, because if it's here for the week, to spend the whole week of where we're going to have a place for the bride and the groom, we need something that's specially designated, made, created in honor of the bride and the groom. That's where the celebration is. That's a festive place. But you're going to go ahead and you tell them, you know what, we're going to go have the festivities in the sukkah. It's missing in the. It's not a place that was designated for the chatan and the kala. That's a place that's parv, so to speak. It's available for anybody. It's not. There's no name of the groom and the bride on that place. It's a sukkah. Anybody comes into, anybody will eat. It's not something that was designated for a chatan and kala. Oh, very good. So the Gemara asks your question. That's exactly the next question of the Gemara. So the first thing is the Gemara says, the Gemara's first question was, let them eat and rejoice in the sukkah. The Gemara first answers that, come on, the sukkah is not that place, a festive place, because it wasn't made for the groom and the bride. Okay, so now you're telling me to have that place of happiness, of festivities, where you're going to be really happy and do enjoyment, it's going to need to be in the special place that was made for the bride and groom. So let them have their praises of the what do you do during the week of the Sheva Brachot? So let's say they'll be dancing in there. They'll be talking about about how great the chatan is. You'll talk about the groom. You'll talk about the bride. So the Gemara says, "V'lechlu b'sukkah, v'lechlu b'chubah." Let them eat in the sukkah. Let them rejoice in the chuppah, like Mr. Betesh said. Why is it that why is it that we say that we don't obligate them to eat in the chuppah? So you want to go ahead and you want to have your dancing and you want to have your speeches, your beautiful speeches, right? You want to have such beautiful things in the place that was designated for the bride and groom. So have those speeches there, have your dancing there in that special home. But when it comes to eating time, eat in the sukkah. The Gemara shoots back, Ein simcha ela b'makom suda. The simcha, a happy time goes ahead with the plate where the food is. And some commentaries, one of the commentaries explain, the Meiri, the meal of the chatan, the meal of the groom doesn't have a specific time. It's not like, we're having lunch at 1:00. The whole day, it's open time to come. People will come to, people are there to help, to make the chatan, the groom, happy, to help him rejoice, to involved in the celebrating this great event that took place, and therefore the 7 days of celebration. And he wants morning max, and the groom wants to feed them. That's how the Miri said. And therefore, since he wants to feed them, and therefore therefore the celebration needs to be, so if needs to be, the eating needs to be, and where you're having the festivities, where you're getting together to make the groom and the bride happy, because that's the place where you're going to be spending most of your time. And when you're making the groom and bride happy, the Chatan wants part of that. He wants that there should be food there for the people that are coming to make him happy. That's how the Meiri explained. And he also continues, the Meiri said, and if you're going to say, okay, we'll hold that point. Now, you can also interpret the Gemara that if the place where you want to make the Chatan and Kala happy, we know part of happiness is when you eat together. Eating is something that helps the happiness, the festivities. So to say that you're going to go ahead and be, Max, we're on 25b3. To say that we're going to be in one place for making, to help, to bring out the happiness for the groom, to celebrate with the groom in place number one, and eat in place number two, celebration and food go hand in hand. It enhances the celebration. So therefore, you can't say have the celebration in the house, in the place that's designated for the bride and groom, and we're going to have the eating somewhere else. Oh, that's a good question. But okay, Mr. Patesh wants to say, why is not to have the wedding between? So sometimes it's a mitzvah to get married, and maybe you don't want to delay the mitzvah of getting married. They might lose out the mitzvah of Sukkah, but they got the mitzvah of they have that mitzvah came before this mitzvah of getting married. And if they're going to wait till after Sukkot, they delayed the mitzvah. And so, and sometimes maybe therefore maybe they felt that it's best to go ahead and do the mitzvah that I have in front of me, and should not, delay the mitzvah.
There's also a restriction what you need.
Right, but we're saying if they're exempt from Sukkah, that would mean they could eat anything outside the Sukkah. Just like when it's raining and it's coming down or whatever, you're able to eat, and you go into your house, you could eat anything. So they would be exempt from the Sukkah. So the Gemara says, V'levdu chuppah b'sukkah. So why don't you set up the chuppah in the Sukkah? Meaning, you told me that the eating and the festivities have to go hand in hand. And you told me the festivities, the joy, the celebration of a groom happens in the place where there's the chuppah, which we're translating chuppah, not the normal way we understand the chuppah, right? We understand chuppah as a canopy that's made for the wedding only. Max, everything clear? Yeah. But this chuppah that the Gemara is referring to, when it says chuppah, it's referring to a special place, special dwelling that's set up for the chatan and the kala to stay throughout the 7 days of celebration after the wedding. So the Gemara now shoots back. Okay, so why don't you set up that house? You'll find, by the way, you'll find Gemaras that this rabbi was busy making the chuppah for his son. What does it mean he was making the chuppah? What doesn't mean he was just making, it would sound like from here, it's not just he was making the canopy for the wedding. He was setting up the house for the week, the special place where they're going to spend the week after the wedding, and that's going to be a place of celebration. As I pointed out yesterday, I think it's fascinating the celebration, the type of celebration that went on after a wedding, that you have not only you have the groom's men that are spending time the whole week, and people are coming the whole day, the way the Meiri says. How do you like that, Max? They're coming the whole day to join into his celebration throughout the week. And it's interesting, someone noted that I was learning with yesterday, I think, we have the contrast by the Shiva, the 7 days of mourning, where people are coming one after the other to comfort the person who's sitting Shiva. And we have the 7 days of where people are coming one after the other to join in to the celebration and to the smoach, to say a good word, to compliment, or whatever they would do, to say, wow, so proud of you. And so instead of people having these bachelor parties before the wedding, let them have this type of thing after the wedding. Everything's under control. It's married. Who knows what goes on at these bachelor parties? I don't recommend them. So the Gemara says, "V'levdu chuppah b'sukkah." Let's set up this special area, special place for the chatan and the kala in the sukkah. So we're going to have, listen, sukkah, the holiday sukkah is in 7 days. It's perfect. You have a 7 day, and we only need a place for the special place for the chatan and kala for 7 days. We need a special place for them, so it's perfect. So set up the sukkah with this, maybe get a beautiful chair for the. I would understand that this place that they would set up for the chatan and kala would be something special chairs like we have at a wedding, special chair for the woman, for the bride. Probably there would be set up in a way that's very special. So let's set that up in the sukkah. So we'll have the sukkah will have will be set up for the chatan and kala. And once we set up in the sukkah, everybody in that celebration will be there. Everybody will come there, and we'll get two for the price of one. We'll get the mitzvah of sukkah because they're in the sukkah. They set up shop in the sukkah, and we'll also get the mitzvah and of their being happy and festive and the sameach, helping the chatan and the kala, rejoicing during that week. So the Gemara says there are two issues. There are two different opinions of what the concern is, why we don't set it up in the sukkah. Abaye Yoma Mishum Yichud. Abaye says the concern is of being alone with the woman, with the bride. What's the situation? So Rashi explains, in the time of the Gemara, say around 2,000 years ago, 1900, whatever that time period, 1900 years ago, whatever it was, they would make the sukkot on the roof. It was very common, like in Israel. You see in Israel, it's very common that sukkahs are on the roof. So when you make a sukkah on a roof, it was not so simple getting up to the roof. Every time you want to get up to the roof, going down from the roof. So because of that, there weren't so many people coming and going. It was a tircha. It was something. It was a little burden of some sort going up and down to the roof. Meaning people weren't coming and going constantly. Meaning, as you know, when you have something that's user-friendly, people are very, today they're offering free parking, right? Some grocery stores offer free parking. Because you offer free parking. Good morning. Upstairs, and there's another minyan. Yeah, there's upstairs. There's a 6:30 and 7:30 upstairs. No, sir. 7:30 minyan. No problem. So the roof. So now, because it's on the roof, you're not going to have people coming in on a regular basis. so much. It's not as user friendly for people to come and go. Usually, the people would go up to the sukkah and they would stay by the sukkah. The people who are staying in the sukkah would more stay in the sukkah, and there's not so much traffic going on. Going around, people going from sukkah to sukkah. Sukkah hopping, not so popular in those days, because it means if I'm hopping into another sukkah, I got to hop up the steps, got to get up to the roof. So therefore, because of that, there weren't so many people that would be coming up to the sukkah. And maybe the groom would go down to go to the bathroom, and go into the bathroom, as you know, there would be outside, it's a nice walk to go outside the city, wherever it was. It would take time. And when he would go down, then maybe there'd be one person up there on the roof. Let's say there's the bride. And maybe at that time, when the husband went down to go to use the bathroom, there was nobody else there but one person. And that would be a problem, that the lady is alone with this man. It's very interesting that the Gemara calls this an issue of yichud, because that being alone, because you might have said that, any time, it's not open for any time that a person could come. But the fact that since it's uncommon that people will come, seems that already is called an issue of yichud. Because one of the things is, if a person's concerned that anybody will come at any time, so then there is the people that's not called, they're really alone, because someone could come at any time. But since it's so uncommon, that's what it would seem like. It seems like from this it's reaching the issue of yichud. Or there are some commentators that say that maybe the husband is concerned, would be very distressed if he would leave and his wife would be alone with might be alone with somebody, even if it might not fill the technical prohibition of being alone, but it's still something that, and therefore maybe that would be a tsar, pain. By being in the sukkah, it would cause him stress, very much stress. That's how there are some that want to explain the Gemara that way. And there's another point that you also could say, that we see from this Gemara, this opinion of this Gemara, it seems that even though the husband is in town, but if you know that your husband is not coming back for a certain amount of time, let's say, for instance, a person's husband has an office in the neighborhood. But every day he's in his office from 9 to 5. He never comes back during the day. So the fact that he's in the city, the fact that he has the potential to come back at any time, but the fact that he doesn't come back at any time would seem to be a problem of yichud, of being alone. Because in this situation, technically the husband is in the town. But he technically, if he's in town, he could come. But since he doesn't come, when a person goes out to use the bathroom, he's not coming back in a certain amount of time. So that's considered, she doesn't have the fear of her husband coming at any time. That's what it would seem like, from our Gemara. We're not giving a psak halacha, but there's something that people need to be aware of, that could be a situation of yichud, that even though the husband has potential to come back, but if he doesn't come back, so maybe that potential might not be considered a real potential, and therefore there's a problem of being alone. You should know that the Rambam writes that being alone with a woman is one of the main causes that leads to having relations with the woman. Meaning it's the step before. If people would take the protection of the halacha and they wouldn't be alone with the woman, then I won't get to the next step. And that's why in the world today, the people who don't follow halacha, and they have offices and they have a secretary, and they're not following these laws of yichud, being alone. Morning, good to see you. They might, if they reach a situation that they violate yichud, that they're alone, you don't know what's the next step that could happen. After hours, nobody's coming into the office. They lock the door. They close the door. They don't want anybody. They don't want them to bother. They want to close up the shop. It's 5 o'clock. What's that? Nobody's expected, and then and no one's expected to answer the door because they know it's after hours. So now they created a situation of yichud. They're alone. They didn't intend to create that situation. They just wanted to lock the door because they don't want anybody, they don't want to get delayed in getting out of the office. They have things to do before they leave. But they might have created a situation, if they created a situation of being alone, then you don't know how the psyche of a person, as you start feeling certain things or whatever person it might lead to inappropriate behavior. So that's something, Max, it's interesting that I think that if the world would follow, we have the situation with therapists. Sometimes a male therapist, is giving therapy to a woman. And it could be a young girl, that could be 15, 16, 18, or young, or whatever the age it might be. But they don't work, if they're not working with the rules of yichud, and they don't, okay. But there's been many stories of people being violated or seduced when under such circumstances, because they didn't leave the door open, things were closed, the door was closed, no one had the ability to walk in on them, so on and so forth, and created situations that led to that people took advantage of patients, so on and so forth. But that happens as a result of not following the laws of yichud. Right. So it's a great. It would seem from the Sefer Chinuch. The Sefer Chinuch says that the Torah says, "Lo sikruvu legalos erva." We can't get close to reveal, to have a relation with certain women that are forbidden to you. And the Rambam, Maimonides, understands that there's a biblical prohibition to be physical with, let's say, the woman that's forbidden to you, someone that's and even not having actual relations, it's just hugging, kissing. Let's say a woman who's a nidah, every single girl has a period once she's a certain age, so she's a nidah. So if a person goes ahead and hugs the nidah, kisses the nidah, for the purpose of showing his love, his affection, that's a biblical prohibition according to the Rambam. And it doesn't carry karei. It carries lashes. She was warned, don't do this don't be so fit, don't be physical with this woman. If he actually sleeps with the nidah, he would get karei, cut off from the next world, if he does it intentionally. But being physical with her is biblically prohibited according to the Rambam. And he says, including in this prohibition, don't get close to reveal the erva, the nakedness, is don't be alone with that woman. So if a person is alone with a married woman, according to the Rambam, or it's a chinuch, presumably he gets it from the Rambam, it's a biblical violation. Others would say it's a rabbinic violation, being alone with that married woman. So whether it's a biblical fence, a rabbinic fence, yes, continue, I'm sorry. So people need to follow those fences, those safeguards, and that's the key for people to be successful. So the Gemara says, "V'rava Ama," that's the concern of Abaye. "Rava Ama mishum sa l'chatan." The concern is, in such a place, he doesn't feel privacy. As Rashi says, the sukkos usually had 3 walls, was open on one side. He doesn't have enough privacy with his wife, and therefore to make the chuppah, to make the place of dwelling for the bride and the groom in a sukkah is not a practical solution, because they're not going to have, the bride and the groom are not going to have privacy. So the Gemara says, "My benayu," what would be the practical difference between Abaye's reason and Rava's reason? So the Gemara says, meaning, according to both, you're not able to make the chuppah the celebratory residence for the bride and the groom of that week in the sukkah, whether it's because of the concern of being alone, or whether it's the concern of the husband's pain, distress that he can't have his privacy with his wife. Let's say they place the sukkah not on the roof. Let's say they place the sukkah on ground level, where people, that's very user-friendly. So everybody's going to be stopped by on a continuous basis. So there's no concern of yichud that they're going to be alone. But there's still going to be a concern of the chatan is not going to be comfortable because he doesn't have privacy. It's open on one side, the sukkah. The one that says there's a concern of being alone with the bride, there's no problem, because people are it's common that people are coming back and forth. You see the language of the Gemara is that it's common. It's commonly people are coming on a regular basis. Sounds like a person is not. It sounds like from the Gemara that, like we said, if you have a situation where people don't commonly come, that will be an issue of yichud. There'll be an issue of being alone, even though there's a possibility a person could come. The fact that they don't commonly come, it's enough that people might seduce the person in that place. That's what it seems like from this Gemara. We're not giving any halacha sak, but it's interesting to look at. And the Gemara says, the man sachatan, but according to the opinion, it says we're concerned for the stress of the chatan, that he's not going to be comfortable, he's going to be in pain. I mean, it's not physical pain, but it's pain that he's going to be stressed, that doesn't have privacy. So there's still that problem, even in the sukkah that's on ground level, that people can come on a regular basis. You got rid of the issue of yichud, got rid of the issue of being alone, but you still have the problem of the chatan not being comfortable, and therefore you will not be able to set up the chuppah, the groom's place of residence, in that sukkah because of that reason. Omer Rav Zera says, "Ana achli b'sukkah v'chad b'chuppah." Rav Zera says, when I was married, when I got married, you know what I did? I had a special place where they came to make me happy, but I ate in the sukkah. The kosher came. Why? Because I said, you know what? The kosher came to chadalibi. I was happier then than if I would have eaten in the place of the chuppah, of that special residence that they set up for me. Why? Because vidna tarti, I fulfilled 2 mitzvot. The mitzvah of sukkah I got, because I went to the sukkah to eat, and I also got the mitzvah of rejoicing, because I had a special place. They set me up this chuppah, a special place of enjoyment of this street, and right next door they had a sukkah. I was very happy. But what about his concern of yichud, being alone? What about the concern of he wasn't worried that he was happy? It didn't cause me any pain. I was just very happy. It just increased my happiness by the fact that that I was able to be in a sukkah and do both. Look at the attitude. Hey, okay, want to wish everyone a fascinating Gemara. Back on Monday. Let's see if we can get a bigger crowd for Monday. Got to encourage everybody. Nothing happens by itself. But only things happen when people work on things. That's when things happen. Correct, Mr. Abraham?
Was